efficiency is. We're not just talking about, well, I want to save a little bit of energy, save some money. No, we're talking about real efficiency. We can increase our efficiency from say double the efficiency to 10 times, given the industry and the waste that are in that product, in that service. So we have just lost the whole edge of awareness of what efficiency is.
Yeah.
So what is efficiency with any given product? Well, the main waste is shipping things.
Yeah, that's
1,000 miles. We have called a 1,000-mile salad here in the States, and even in England, they'll ship a food back and forth, and then to the store. It's quite insane.
Yeah.
So there's something about the waste there, and we've even need to look at our economic system. Why is the economic system so glad to waste? Why? Because the oil industry makes profits every time they ship something.
That's right.
So the Texas-style oil economy is, and by the way, the big oil started in Texas almost 100 years ago. So they have been profiting for, well, decades, for a century now on this oil thing. So the oil waste, then when you burn oil, what does it do? It smokes up the atmosphere, creates smog, fog, toxic fumes, and heats up the whole weather cycles. So we need to this is an enlightenment of people to examine cycles everywhere, from the trucks to the weather to the water, the oceans, the melting of the ice fields, and how that affects the weather in our region, even here in the northwest United States. We get the melted ice from the Bering Sea. You know what that is?
Yeah, it's right up at the conjunction between Alaska and Russia, right?
Yeah,
Isn't that the Bering
and
Sea?
it's been melting really, really fast.
Yeah.
Well, most people don't know about it because most of the people in this network are in Europe and the eastern United States. The west coast of the states is affected by the Bering Sea melting faster and faster and faster.
Very interesting, you know.
It's all interconnected. It's all this infinite web links, networks together in nature, not just internet.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, as you say, it is a global, weather, system. Obviously, if you have, a big hurricane in one area, obviously this will, affect the whole planet and all the weather systems around it. Obviously, so you're right. They
finally admitted, in the East Coast climate people, that the hurricanes cool the ocean, and how they do that is by the currents that they create. They're sucking up cold water from the bottom of the ocean.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so it has a cooling effect. That's why in 04, 05, there was all these hurricanes, and next year where there weren't hardly any.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
so it is cycles. Everything is a balancing cycles, and if you take climate science as a whole, you rarely hear the word balance. I mean, rarely hear the word balance.
Yeah.
They'll use equilibrium. But the point is here that nature is always and everywhere balancing. So if they don't even mention balancing, does that mean their climate models are wrong? Who do you believe?
Yeah, that's interesting that you say, balance, of course, because that is what it's all about. It's a simple, it should be a simple way of doing the math, as it were. If you extract energy or add energy into the system, let's say from the sun, things will, as you say, find a way to balance themselves out here on Earth, and increasing warmth, all of this will obviously lead to more hurricanes that season or that summer or whatever. How about the I've heard different things about, because you mentioned the all the ice melting and so forth. Do you know if it's true if there are other regions around the world where ice actually is rebuilding again, or it's growing again?
There are. There's a book called Not by Fire But by Ice.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And the guy is he's in the Northwest. He's in Seattle, and he's been a lone climate scientist for at least 10 years, probably 20 years. Most of these scientists have been doing this for decades, But anyway, he's one of the few scientists, and he's a lone scientist. He's not employed by NASA or any of these big agencies, universities. He's been tracking how the ice is growing, and there are places in Siberia and Canada and Greenland that the ices are growing. But the trends, the biggest trend is the melting on the ice thing. Yeah. And we have here in the States, each mountain range has its own glacier fields. And the glaciers in the Rockies are melting very fast. The Cascades are melting, but we had a really good snow load this last winter here in the Cascades, so we're going to be having pretty good water this coming summer here. We keep having little bits of rain, and the river it's up, but now it's starting to go down again. So it's different in every bioregion. You really need to study your bioregion if you want to understand this. The melting of the Bering Sea was down the west coast in the Japanese or the Aleutian Current that affects our weather. So you need to see the currents around where you live that affect your weather, and then also the technology and how that affects that too. Because when the volcanoes go out, they affect the weather. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, definitely. Those things spew out a lot of, I don't know if it's CO2 directly, but it's a lot of greenhouse gases anyway that actually, again, contributes to the heating and so forth. So definitely.
Yeah. Those are all causes.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. I'm thinking about. Let's see here, I'm lost in my notes. I'm thinking about, there is the talk goes, as it were, that we're going to have the sea levels rising incredibly much, and it might even develop into, because I know this in one of your e-zines, you mentioned it like the new Exodus or something like that, that actually a lot of people will have to move and relocate.
Mass migration.
Yeah, exactly, mass migration. Tell us about that a little bit. What's your take on the rising sea levels and so forth?
Well, okay, assuming that the ice in and around the glaciers and the Greenland and around the poles is melting, and all the reports are that the melting is happening. Well, the other reports are the islands in the South Sea islands are actually being flooded by high tides, and they're losing their farmland because whenever the sea water goes into the land, the salt, which is bad for growing things, plants do not grow with salt water. It just doesn't work.
That's right.
Unless you're in the ocean, you're talking about seaweed, and that's been evolving there for millions of years. So whenever the so in the South Pacific Islands, the islands there the very south ones are being flooded. And the North Shore of Alaska is being flooded. The villages up there, the Eskimos who have been living there for centuries, millennia, they're being flooded and eroded away. The land is literally being, in the winter, when the storms, when the storms get up in the winter, they suck the land out. And they're swamping. Villages have been moving inland, and some of them are having to move completely away because their villages are being. But also, when that salt water comes in, it kills the vegetation, or it can become marshlands. Like where you have just grasses. That's what the marshes are. There are lands that are called brackish water, where there's salt water and fresh water. The fresh water comes from the land, and the salt water comes from the sea, and the tides go in, and they go out, and they go in, and they go out, and the grasses have become adapted to brackish water. That's what those marshlands are. Well, but when the salt water comes into the islands, it will kill their vegetation for food. So it's an impact, and it's growing rapidly in the last 10 years.
Do you know if when the water comes in like that, does it also take with it back when it retracts again the topsoil layers and stuff like that?
Yeah, and also takes the shore away. So there's a lot of shorelands that are disappearing.
Yeah.
But of course, people's memories, they're too. See, this has to do with habits. People's habits is that their memories that they're losing, their memory of their own past, so their memory shrinks, and so they can only think of a week or a month or at the most a year.
Yeah.
But if you study big cycles, then you see that everything works in long cycles, very long cycles. In permaculture, we call it the 100-year maximum.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but in permaculture, like say if you're doing permaculture, traditionally your neighborhood, your community, then your farming communities, they know when the long cycles are happening. But if they become dependent on machines and chemicals, then they lose their awareness of the long weather cycles, fertility cycles, because they're depending on these imports. So we've got to buy more bags of fertilizer and pesticides and chemicals and sprays and all that stuff. So they, instead of learning about natural cycles, they learn about monthly bills and the supplies of the trucks bringing in all these things for farming. We did farming for 6,000 years, I guess it was 6,000, 7,000 years, without agribusiness, farming, and machinery and chemicals. And now in the last 50 years we've changed that. So that's a big change from 5,000 years of farming to the last 50 years of industrial farming.
Yeah, that's right, and it's monocultures everywhere, and I guess that too is destroying the the earth, and even it drains the soil of its nutrients and minerals. Isn't that right?
Yeah, absolutely. When we do organic growing, we usually intercrop. In other words, we have one crop next to the other crop, and the intercropping or row cropping or whatever you want to call it, guilds, is that we plant plants together that are happy together and they grow better together. We don't plant one crop for acres and acres and acres.
Yeah.
We intercrop so that the plants are cooperating and nourishing each other.
Yeah.
The nitrogen-fixing plants and the acid and alkaline balance, all again balancing.
Yeah.
That's one of the main principles of organic growing.
Yeah.
And your body too, your body energy balance. The health industry, this is where the primal instincts and organic health comes in, is the health industry, and I have a college degree in PE and health, is not based on balance and organic sources.
That's right, yeah.
Industrial science.
Exactly, and people pop pills now instead, and all that does, it's in the end, is make your body more alkaline, which makes us contract diseases like cancer and all of these
No, when acids are what causes disease, not alkaline.
Okay, I'm sorry, I got my English wrong here. Exactly, the acids, you need the pH balance to be healthy. That's what I mean. That's what I'm referring at here.
And alkalines, natural alkalines, can be healing. And
that's right. Yeah.
We become dependent upon medical healing and the chemicals, then we've forgotten what the causes of disease are. What is prevention?
That's right. So, before we run out of time here, as it were, tell us about Instincto, because I know that you wanted to spend some time on this. Yeah,
Instincto is a health solution to these issues, and instincts are missing in the human culture and the cities. Because when I grew up, I had no instincts. I was born in a hospital under high stress, and I lost my instincts. Well, most humans who live in cities don't have instincts. The only medical recognition of instincts anywhere is a couple of nerve things. They'll tap on your knee or something to see if you have any nerve instincts, and then in babies. So there's almost no, say there's 10,000 tests that they do on humans to diagnose diseases. There's only a couple that have to do with your nerves that they'll tap on to see if your nerves are working there. Or babies, and I think it's called the APGAR score, which is they will test babies on 5 to 10 different reflexes on their body to see how their nerves are